Overnight, the global focus remains the Middle East conflict and its economic spillovers. The Financial Times reports the U.S. and Iran are publicly sparring over the status of talks ahead of a planned Trump address, with the U.S. position tied to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The U.K. is also moving to convene coalition talks on securing the strait, reflecting concern among allies about energy flows and shipping risk. The broader warning from the FT is that any sustained disruption around Hormuz is not just an oil story, but a template for future coercion and other choke points, with analysts drawing parallels to how China could pressure Taiwan via the Taiwan Strait. In parallel, U.S. alliance politics are adding uncertainty. The BBC and Australia's ABC report Donald Trump says he is considering pulling the United States out of NATO, criticizing allies for not backing U.S. military action against Iran. If that rhetoric hardens into policy, it would raise questions about deterrence settings in Europe and burden sharing, and it would likely feed volatility across defense, energy and currency markets. On the Russia-Ukraine front, ABC reports at least 4 people were killed in daytime Russian drone strikes across Ukraine, as both sides continue escalating drone operations into the war's 5th year. The material development here is the persistence and visibility of drone warfare as a central feature of the conflict, with ongoing civilian risk. In technology and artificial intelligence, a major real-world test of autonomy is making headlines. The BBC and ABC report a mass robotaxi malfunction in a Chinese city, with at least around 100 vehicles affected and videos showing cars stalled across multi-lane roads with hazard lights on, obstructing traffic. Beidou has not responded to requests for comment. The incident underscores how software outages in autonomous fleets can quickly become public safety and traffic management events, and it will likely intensify scrutiny of operational resilience, remote intervention and regulatory oversight. Turning to Australia, the dominant theme is economic shock management linked to global fuel and shipping disruption. SBS reports Treasurer Jim Chalmers is facing questions about recession risk and a fuel mandate amid what he calls a significant economic shock, arguing the faster the Middle East war is resolved, the sooner the global economy can recover. The Sydney Morning Herald and The Conversation report Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is preparing a national address, urging calm, while flagging the coming months may not be easy. He is expected to announce $1 billion in interest-free loans for businesses hit by the fuel crisis, positioning it as part of a broader economic reform agenda ahead of an ambitious budget. The Guardian notes the political risk in the primetime address itself. It can reassure, but it can also amplify anxiety by signaling crisis. For the Australian public service and policy delivery, 2 developments stand out. First, The Conversation reports former Treasury Secretary Martin Parkinson says nearly half of permanent migrants are working below their skill level, arguing the debate should shift from headline migration numbers to better matching skills to jobs, an issue with direct implications for productivity, service delivery and labor market planning across government. Second, on technology policy and online safety, The Guardian reports new e-safety compliance findings show Australia's teen social media ban is not achieving its intended effect. Around 7 in 10 children remain on major platforms, with no notable change in cyberbullying or image-based abuse reported by children. That points to enforcement and design limits, and it raises the prospect of policy recalibration. On domestic security, ABC reports a WA man has been charged with terrorism offences, with a Perth court told he wrote about the Bondi attacks in a diary and was allegedly planning a day of justice. Separately, SBS reports police are encountering more homemade firearms, including largely 3D-printed guns, indicating a growing challenge for law enforcement as manufacturing becomes more accessible. Markets. There is no specific update provided here on the Australian share market, but the key drivers today remain energy supply risk, global growth expectations, and heightened geopolitical uncertainty, all of which typically feed into fuel-sensitive sectors, transport costs, and broader risk sentiment.